Thank you so much for having me. Delighted to get to share tapping, especially in relation to International Women's Day and Week, to give women tools to support themselves in, you know, something we can all relate to is stress and anxiety. So, first of all, if you don't mind using the chat, and if you could let me know if you've heard of tapping before, have you used tapping before? I can see one or two people here. I've trained in tapping already. Hi. So really excited to see you guys. Um, yeah, let us know in the chat. Have you used tapping before? Have you heard of it? Um, and your anxiety. Let's just tune into, your own self. So you've come here for a reason. Do you feel that anxiety is something that you struggle with? So a lot of people have heard of it, but not really used it or want to hear more. Mandy, a long time ago, I think tapping is becoming much more popular. Louisa uses it most days. Sorry, my neighbor's just trying to get his delivery. I'll have to come back to him. Bev, heard of it, never used it. Okay, great. So we've got, variety of levels of awareness. And so today I'm just going to take you through high level, what it is, why it works, how to do it, and we'll do some tapping for anxiety. Um, we'll get in straight away with who is using it. Let me see if I can find my little markers. Hello. There we go. So perhaps you've seen tapping become more of a feature in our media landscape. In fact, Russell Brand yesterday posted a video about prayer and tapping, not related, but it was he starts his day with tapping every day. And then he goes on for his cold shower, he says his prayers, and he does what he does for the rest of his day. But I found it really interesting that he's using that daily. Pink was talking about that recently on that was going around TikTok and Instagram. It's been in TV shows. Boy George was tapping in the jungle, creating a furore. Was it November 2 years ago? Everyone was asking, like, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? It's been in the movies. Zach Braff brought it into a recent movie, which is really awesome. That tapping is now becoming more commonplace. It's not that crazy woo-woo thing. It's not mad tap dancing. It's something that we can kind of get on board with and understand. And even in Australia, tapping is so commonplace because it's been a bit of a hotbed for research and for getting tapping out there in the media. So why are they doing it? EFT hacks the brain into feeling safe. How good is that? It allows the body and mind to switch off the fight, flight, freeze response and help us return to calm. So if you just remember one thing, you're hacking your brain. You're overriding something that's happening in the nervous system. You're switching off the production of cortisol and adrenaline, and you bring down those levels, helping you feel safe, feel better, release emotions, release stress, anxiety, even panic. Okay, we'll come back to that in a few minutes. So, what is stress in the body? It's worry or mental tension. The demands of and pressures of life can stimulate this nervous system response. If a demand or threat is identified, the body goes into fight, flight, freeze, ideally to be used in that moment. But so many of us are actually living in this constant state of permanent stress, fight, flight, freeze. We're not getting the dips that we used to. I've seen this very prevalent since COVID. We've almost been kept in a heightened state of stress, have we? Every time we feel, oh, the lockdowns are coming back, we're going to start to feel again, oh, no, get stressed again. There's a new variant. And it's like this roller coaster that we've been kept on. And our bodies are suffering now, I think, from that prolonged cortisol and adrenaline production. And this can impact sleep, the food we crave, in particular sugar, because we want to be in this kind of state of high energy, ready to run. It can lead us to more soothing mechanisms like alcohol or drugs or prescription medication. It can lead to diabetes long term and all sorts of things. So, really, we need a period of rest in our energy system so that our cells can go back to just doing what they should be doing, which is the rest and digest, the toxin release, the repair, and so on. So, who here, just drop a one in the chat if you can connect to this constant roller coaster of stress and anxiety that just we cannot seem to get a break from. And it's not just the COVID piece. It's like there was the war in Ukraine, and now there's the genocide in Palestine. There's just always something that keeps us in this, constant state of stress. So what do we do about it? And first, what is anxiety? This topic is anxiety. What actually is anxiety? So again, it's linked to stress. It creates tension in the body, worried thoughts, physical changes. So when we feel anxious and stressed, our heart rate goes up, doesn't it? We start to feel, like maybe shallow breathing or panic breathing. I'll tell you, this morning, I had an extremely stressful morning trying to get my 8-year-old son to school. He's had 2 days off. He fell and banged his head on Monday. We had to spend 4 hours in the A&E. He had to get his head glued. Then he had the day off yesterday. And today I had to bring him back to school. And he was so anxious. And I noticed myself, my chest just starting to really feel tight. My heart rate was pumping. I was like, I have to get him into school. I can't let him not be in school another day. If it goes another day, my thoughts were spiraling. He's never going to go back to school. We're going to get in trouble by school. And you can see just this roller coaster of panic that was starting to come in me. I wasn't breathing very deeply, and so on. Anyway, we resolved the situation. It's all good. But coming down, walking out of school, I was just like, oh my God. I was walking down the drive thinking, geez, that was so stressful that I was full of anxiety. And I said, that's interesting. Now I have a talk on anxiety today, and I've had a really stressful morning. So I was just trying to, send these signals to my body to try and bring down that cortisol. I could feel it really quickly in my body. So we can hold this kind of like general anxiety. Some of us are anxious all the time. Before I did my EFT training, no, sorry, I do tend to go on a bit. I will try hurry up. Before I did my EFT training, I didn't even realize I was an anxious person. I didn't really know the term anxiety. People 8 years ago weren't using the term anxiety the way we're using it now. And I came out of my training, and a few weeks later, after integrating and having released loads of things, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't feel the same way in my body. I don't get as upset or stressed about things the way I had before. And then it dawned on me, it was like, oh my God, like I was a highly anxious person. I had no idea. I had no idea because I was just in this perma state that I didn't know what it felt like to not be in that way. And I'm sure many of you can connect with that. So there's the trait part of it, whereas I am an anxious person, or I feel anxious, I feel nervous because of a particular thing that's happened. So the trait piece is more difficult. It's like I am anxious. I'm in a permanent state of anxiety. I don't have a break. It's kind of generalized anxiety disorder, where you're kind of excessively worrying about just day-to-day things that maybe other people don't worry about. You're more restless, fatigued, poor concentration, trouble sleeping, irritable. You might be going for the sugar and the self-soothing kind of tools. Anybody here got what they think is that generalized kind of always on anxiety? And it kind of leaves us with an intolerance to uncertainty. We're afraid of the unknown. We can't trust. Yes, so CBT didn't help. Yeah, because CBT is more high level maintenance, whereas tapping gets more to the root cause. Yeah. And in that state of uncertainty, we procrastinate. Who's a big procrastinator here? There's a few hands and nods going up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Procrastination is a freeze response in response to not feeling safe. So two things. We go into fight, flight, freeze when we don't feel physically safe. Hello, COVID. Okay, so we've got physical safety, and then a threat to our sense of self. So work, people with not thinking we're doing a good enough job, or appraisals coming up, or client feedback isn't great, and so on. We will take all of that personally. Any other people pleasers in the house? I think it's a bit of a theme. They might go hand in hand. you know, we're trying to keep ourselves safe, so we go over and above to people please. So that's a big one there. Okay, maybe we need to do a thing on people pleasing. Recovering people pleaser. I'm also recovering people pleaser. I like that. We're recovering. We're getting better. We're creating boundaries. Remember, I'm not responsible for anyone else's feelings. Okay, that's something we can come back to. I'm not responsible for anyone else. All right. So, what is actually happening in our body? We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. The parasympathetic is our green zone, it's our good zone. Everything's working optimally. We are rest and digesting, we're calm. The red zone is set like it's like alarm bells going off in our head, isn't it? It's like the fire alarm. And we are hyper vigilant in this place, aren't we? We are scanning the environment constantly for threats and for danger. And do you know why do you think primarily we get triggered into these states? Anyone got an idea? Why do we feel this anxiety? Let's see if anyone's got the answers. What may have happened? There's a clue. Overwhelm. Yeah. But more specifically, previous experience, previous lived real memories, traumas that have been clocked up in our body that are evidence the world's not a safe place, right? So our hypervigilance increases because we've got proof. Nope, see, I told you, world's not a safe place. We've now got a mindset built on not feeling safe or not being good enough. Oh, Mandy, yes, you will. So sorry about the school, your child situation. There is a replay. So off you go. Okay. So memories, experiences, all add to the current way we react to our environment. So something happens in our environment, like my son triggered my nervous system response this morning because at Christmas, it took us 5-6 days to get him back to school. So I have a lived experience where I was stressed for both of us getting him in back into school after a period of 3 or 4 weeks. He was off because he was ill. So that's where my mind went to. And then I also went forward, the what ifs, right? So we're getting the memories and then we're getting our worst fears also joining the party. So fun and games. I love how our brains and bodies work, which actually is really, really good coping strategies. But what unfortunately we have not learned is how to override and release and let go of trauma and memories and so on. Okay. So most likely everyone's anxiety here will come from multiple events. Oh my God, now my school is calling me. Do you mind if I take this because of Casper? Hang on 1 second. I'm so sorry. That is fun.
That's a cascading effect now. Maybe everyone's going to get phone calls from schools. Yeah, hopefully everything is okay there. Whilst Sarah's taking the call, if you haven't signed up for any of the other talks, we do have 3 more opportunities to join us for different talks throughout March. We've got Josie, the mindful cook, is going to be doing a talk for us. We have got somebody who's going to, oh, Sarah's back. I'll pop the information in the chat.
Thank you so much. They were ringing to tell me that he's having a lovely day. Phew. Just in case there was a head problem after the other day. Now when the phone goes, see, my anxiety rises, right? So there we go. Real experience, right? On the hoof, there's a trigger, a phone call, office. Or panic. What's happened? Memory flooding through. Cortisol, adrenaline. Now we understand it. Brilliant. Thank you, school, for bringing me that wonderful example. So mum life, indeed. Thank God we have these tools. That's all I can say. So tapping is an amazing, there's two ways I love tapping. Tapping is a great, like, high level stress reliever. So now in the moment, we will do some tapping together. We will take down our high level anxiety or wherever we're at today, and you can use that tool as and when you need it, like a CBT tool. But then there's the deeper work, and that's when you work with somebody one-to-one, where you go back to specific memories that are causing your body to still react in this triggered way. And when you do that, you then don't become triggered anymore, or the triggers are less intense, or they're less frequent, or they disappear altogether. So there's the real benefit of like an in the moment tapping, like we're going to do now, or when you're feeling stressed, or me panicked after the school calls, I could do a little bit of tapping to calm myself down. But then like the bigger benefits come when you do that deeper work and you realize, oh my God, there was the amount of people that I've had, my first day of school was so traumatic, or they have been in a trauma situation, like a car crash, or the grieving in early life because a parent or grandparent died, or a dog or something. And we write off these experiences. We just go, oh, I survived it. I'll get through it. Everything's okay. Particularly birth situations, we might have had a traumatic birth, and me and mum and baby are fine. Let's just park it, right? So we park all these things, and we don't realize that it's impacting our everyday reactions in the anxious kind of presenting way. So tapping is a combination of touching the body on particular points, which we'll go through soon. Also with while talking about how we're feeling. So focusing on the negative. So really, yes, you can tap positive statements, but if you focus on the negative first, you're helping to clear the room before you put the flowers in. That makes sense. Like the positive tapping's like a cherry on the cake. Okay, so this is the foundation, is clearing the negative energy. It is now used by millions of people worldwide. I'm sure lots of people have heard of maybe the tapping solution in America. The Ortners, they have books and an app and so on. And it really has foundations in energy and holistic psychology, conditioning, behavioral therapy, cognitive therapy, exposure. Thought field therapy was the original form of therapy. So it has all these amazing things wrapped into one. And as I said, basically sends signals through to the amygdala in the brain, which is really interesting. It governs our memory center and our stress. So it produces our stress, but also impacts our ability to recall and make decisions. So who can connect with that, feeling really stressed and overwhelmed, and actually losing all kind of good, rational, cognitive thinking that they may have felt prior? So like, it's just really interesting to note that it inhibits our language skills. We maybe can't express ourselves fully. we're not making the right decisions, we're not thinking clearly. Yeah, Josie says, I can't think straight. That's so common, right? So this tool will bring you right into the amygdala, which will help and bring rational thought back into this situation. The fog, yeah, a lot of fog. It reduces our cortisol and adrenaline, and we start to feel better. So there is heaps of research out there if you wanted to go and investigate, but the biggest thing that I take away and share all the time is that it reduces cortisol by 43%. So a group tapping, which is what we're going to do today, but we're not going to do an hour of group tapping, but they did full hour of group tapping and reduced cortisol by 43%. So really huge markers in the physiological makeup of our energy field, as well as then obviously any energy impacts as well. So can you imagine if you had a one-to-one session, how much more could you reduce that cortisol? That's what I always think. I don't think there's research on that yet, but if we did before and after on one-to-one sessions, I reckon that would come down more. Okay, so what are we trying to do with EFT? We bring safety back into the body, right? That is the core. If you only did one thing with the tapping, is to say, I'm safe. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. Whenever you feel a little bit stressed or anxious or tension come into the body, I'm safe, all right? That is so simple. Easy hack, I'm safe. We can reduce stress, anxiety, procrastination, improve logical thinking, improve communication, improve sleep, and so on. It brings mindful and grounded awareness to the present moment. Because mostly when we're feeling the stress, it's because we are panicked and worried about our safety, and we're thinking about the past or the future, aren't we? We're not in the present moment. So when we're doing this, we're really mindful and it's present. We're thinking about how we're feeling now. And sometimes how we're feeling back then, but it's just so focused did you know that the body can only heal in the present moment? So bringing your awareness into the full present moment is really crucial for healing, which is quite cool. In a one-to-one setting, again, you can identify the real root cause of that anxiety. So you don't have to do the maintenance. You won't be triggered in the same way. So that's a really big benefit. So how do we do it? It's simple. I'm going to take you through the process and then we'll do some tapping to give you a bit more of an understanding. So we rate the problem, basically give ourselves a score. We do a setup statement to start with. We tap a reminder statement and then we check in, and that will make more sense shortly. So I will demonstrate with my lovely friend here the points, but I will do them here too. So we all do this together. So doing the tapping of the top of the head. Now you can use one hand, left hand, right hand, or two hands. But we're kind of tapping the crown area. All right, and then we're going to the beginning of the eyebrows. This is not in the middle of the forehead, it's the beginning of the eyebrows. And then the side of the eye. And then under the eye, on the eye socket, so not on the cheeks, up under the eyes. Again, one hand, two fingers, one finger, whatever feels comfortable. Under the nose, on the chin. And then we've got the collarbone points. That's number 7 here on my list. You move down from the, yeah, perfect. Everyone's got that. So it's quite close together. So it's not out here on the side. It's more closer together. And if you want the exact point, you can Google K27. You'll find it's an acupuncture and acupressure point. Okay, then we go under the arms. So we're not, I'm going to just stand up here. We're not going into the pit, but it's kind of where someone might wear a bra strap on the side there. And then back to the hands. So the Americans, if anybody's followed the American tappers, they seem to missed out the hands. They don't use the hands. The research also doesn't use the hands, but I like to teach the hands because they are really good for discrete tapping. Tubes, buses, passengers in cars, Zoom calls, anywhere you can hide your hands, sitting at a desk. So you're going to cross the wrist there. And then it's either side of the fingernail bed. So we're squeezing. Let me just see if I can. We're squeezing either side of the fingernail. So you're kind of touching the fingernail and the skin on each finger, all the way to the baby finger. And then it goes back to the top of the head again. And at the beginning, when we do our setup, we are tapping on the side of the hand, either side, whatever feels comfortable. And as soon as you start doing that, that's sending those signals, okay? And often you can take a deeper breath while you're doing it. And then you're going to add the breath. Like if you expand your breath and slow it down, that also sends safety signals. So you're doing a dual job there. So before we start, it's really useful to get a gauge on how stressed we feel. 0 to 10. Okay, so 10 being the worst. 10 might be a really bad panic attack. All right, so right now I'd say no one's at 10. They should probably be around maybe the 7, 8 mark, or even a bit lower. And we will do that before we start tapping. So it's really useful to do a before and after view so that you can really quantify the shift for yourself. When I tap, I yawn, and when I yawn, I know I'm letting go. But for some people, it's easier to use numbers to gauge that difference. So we tap along the side of the hand and we say a statement. And this is basically the problem or the issue. So even though I have this yellow anxiety in my stomach, so again, we're locating the anxiety and we're giving it a color, I choose to forgive, love, and accept myself anyway. So even though I feel all this anxiety, I still love myself, all right? Or I still choose to. Those words you can change up to be more relevant for you, but the idea is you're stating how you're feeling, where you're feeling it in the body, giving it a color or a density or a texture, and then saying that it's okay. It's okay that I feel like that. All right. So we have our setup statement, and often in a group, we do that 3 times. But if you were just doing it by yourself, you just need to do that once. Because what you're doing is you're kind of tuning in your awareness and focus on this problem, and you're sending signals to the brain. And then we start tapping the points, focusing on that energy. So all this anxiety, this yellow anxiety. I feel so anxious. I hate feeling anxious. Doesn't feel good in my body. Okay, so you get the idea. You're kind of really just focusing on the negative of the anxiety. And sometimes I bring in the why. I've just had a phone call from school. I've had a really difficult morning. You know, I'm worried about my son not making school and getting into trouble and so on. So you can bring in the whys, but the idea is even if you just focused on all this anxiety, I feel so anxious. Maybe I don't know why. All this anxiety. That's going to start to bring everything down. And then you can add in some truisms. So often I will tap 1 or 2 rounds and then check in. But then I add in things like, I was trying my best, or this might actually go well, or this could be something I actually enjoy. Nothing bad is going to happen. I'm safe now. I'm enough. Someone's feeling calm already. Excellent. I am perfectly imperfect. So you bring in more of that perspective, hindsight, or bigger picture thinking. Could be like, maybe my boss was having a bad day. Maybe I got the wrong end of the stick. So you can kind of bring in these reframes, we call them in our training. So just looking again at the situation with just a different lens. And then you're able to get to the positive statements like, I am enough. I am great at my job. I am perfectly imperfect, and so on. And that kind of brings you to this kind of pattern of or process of negative, neutral, positive, right? So we focus on the negative energy first. We're using a reminder statement, talking about the issue, why I'm feeling like that. We move to the bigger picture. Maybe he was having a bad day. Maybe she wasn't being very kind. Maybe they had a lot going on. I choose now to let this go. Okay, so that's a really big part for me, is I often yawn around that part. I choose to let this go. It's like you're taking control. You are telling your body it's safe, and you're giving yourself permission to let go. And then if you feel like you can get into more positive statements. But that's the cherry on top. That's not necessarily required in order to feel better, but that can help make the number higher. Then you'd come back and rate yourself again. Okay, so you'd go, okay, well, how am I feeling now? So does that all make sense? Is there any questions so far on any of that before we kind of get into some tapping? Okay. Oh, sorry. We're not tapping on adult overwhelm. We're tapping on anxiety. That was a slide from another presentation. Sorry. Okay, so let's just take the thing off here so you can see me better. How long would you tap for? So we're going to probably tap for 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, sometimes tapping for 3 minutes is enough to just bring you down. A few. I'm going to see if I spotlight me. Yeah. Can just bring you down a few points. And sometimes a few points is enough to make a big difference if you're feeling anxious or panic. And also, does anybody suffer from panic attacks? Anybody suffer from panic attacks? Do you know that you feel panic attack building, right? So it starts with an energy, and then it can build, and it can kind of come up. If you tap as soon as you start to feel that energy, I promise you the panic attack won't happen. You'll be able to stop it in its tracks if you catch it in good time. Okay, so let's have a little tune into ourselves now and rate our anxiety. So my anxiety is pretty high because of the morning that I've had and the phone call I have just there from school. Is it good to? Yes, it absolutely is. At the very end, I have a slide on kind of incorporating it into your day, so I can come back to that, Anne. So a good question. Also, the last 5 minutes of your day is super important, because what you go to sleep thinking is what your subconscious then percolates overnight. So really letting go of things that have come up during the day would be amazing for your subconscious to focus on other more positive things while you're sleeping instead of the negative things. So nighttime is really good. Okay, so tuning in now. So maybe putting a hand on your chest or your body just to connect in with yourself. Take a breath. Maybe think about your morning, or think about the week you're having. We're in the middle of the week. Maybe it's been stressful. Maybe it's been a busy year. It's been full on. So let's share when you can. I want you to think about, on a scale of 0 to 10, how anxious are you right now? And if you're struggling to connect with feeling anxious, think about a time when you recently felt very anxious. I'm sure we can all connect to that. And then think about, where in the body is it? So George has got a 7. Where in the body is it? Stomach, chest? Seven, chest, stomach. For Emma, and a 7 as well. Heart. And can we give any color to that? Is it a black, heavy weight in the chest, or think about it as fruit sizes? Sometimes that helps. Like, is it a melon or a lemon? We're just giving it some context so that when we come back to it, you can identify a shift. 7 in the chest for Louisa. Also have a little bit of water as well. if you have any handy. In particular, really good to drink water after tapping. Helps to flush out the body. So it's a turquoise color for George. Okay. Now, dark blue for Emma. Very good. Let's just have a little think about maybe why. Why are we feeling anxious today? So I know my why. That was the stress of the school run and drop off and the phone call, worried about things. So what else are we worrying about? If you don't mind sharing, it just helps add a little bit more context for this tapping that we're going to do. Have we got a lot going on? Work meetings, yeah. Workload. Dentist, oh yeah, that's very stressful. Work related. Son getting older, facing new struggles, yeah. Very worrying. Always worrying about the kids, yes. I hear you. Oh my goodness. Feels never ending. Maybe things are never ending. Never getting a break. Okay. So let's get to tapping. So we've got our marks. We've now yeah, to-do lists never getting shorter. There will always, that will never happen. Like we never finish a to-do list because it always adds to it, isn't it? Exams. Never ending. Managing two kids and feeling vulnerable. Yeah. That's a good point, George. The vulnerability. Oh, I've got this lady coming back in. Great. Okay. So when I say I'm going to use black anxiety in my chest, because that's kind of what I'm feeling. But if you could use your wording that you've created, so the location for your anxiety and the color, then that's more specific to your feelings. Okay. So I'll say my feelings and then I will continue on with the tapping. But if something's not really landing with you or doesn't feel quite right to your situation because there's a lot of different things going on, just change it to be something more akin to what you're feeling and what's happening for you. Okay. So we're going to start this. We're going to do this 3 times. And just take a breath before we start. And you're happy to watch me at the beginning to get kind of used to the points, and then you can close your eyes and really settle into it if that feels good for you, or you can keep watching. So whatever works for you. Okay, so even though I have this black anxiety in my chest, so you just say your words. You can say them out loud or in your head. Because I have so much going on and my mind is full of worries. I choose to forgive, love, and accept myself anyway. Even though I have this heavy black anxiety in my chest. Oh, because I'm juggling so much. And it's making me all feel anxious. I choose to forgive, love, and accept myself anyway. You might already be feeling a shift. Last one, even though I have this black, heavy anxiety in my chest. Because I'm overloaded and worried about various things. There never seems to be a break in my anxiety. But I choose to forgive, love, and accept myself anyway. Okay, it's top of the head. All this anxiety, this black anxiety in my chest. So you use your words. I'm feeling so anxious today. Lots of things are causing me to feel this stressed. Things are causing me to worry. And I'm feeling all this anxiety in my body. I've got work pressure and meetings. I have a huge workload and things to be doing. I have a never-ending to-do list. I have people in my life that I'm worrying about. People with struggles that rely on me. And maybe I feel responsible for so many different things. And I feel responsible for so many people. Maybe I feel like it's all on me. All this anxiety in my chest, this heavy pressure and weight in my body. Maybe I've taken on a lot at the moment. Maybe I don't feel I have a choice. I get stressed when things are uncertain. And maybe I feel uncertain about different parts of my life. Maybe I'm worried about things happening in the future. I'm always thinking ahead of things that could go wrong. I'm always trying to predict backup plans, trying to make sure that everyone in my life is happy, trying to make things easy for other people. But that's probably putting a lot of stress and pressure on me. I like control. I like to be in control because being in control makes me feel safe. It's not my fault. I want control. Maybe there's been plenty of times in my life where I haven't felt in control. And maybe sometimes I worry about not having control. I worry about all the things I can and can't control. Sometimes it's exhausting being me. All this anxiety in my body. Maybe it's just my body telling me that something's not right. Maybe I've taken on too many things. Maybe I'm worrying too much about things I can't impact and control. Maybe I'm taking on responsibility of other people's happiness. And maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I need stronger boundaries. Maybe I need to put myself first. I'm safe in this moment. Me and my loved ones are safe right now. There's no need to feel this anxiety right now in this moment. So I choose to let go of all this anxiety from my chest. Letting go of all this fear and worry. Choosing to let go of things I can't control. Because I'm doing my best all the time. Always doing my best. And that means I am enough. I am more than enough for all the people in my life. I give a lot to everyone around me. It's okay to take the foot off the gas every now and then for me. I choose to bring peace and calm into my body instead. And I am enough exactly as I am. Okay, we're stopping there. So just putting your hand on your chest again and taking a breath or two. And just release out. You might even want to shake out some of that energy that we're stirring up in the body and letting go. Oh, sometimes I like to burp after and during tapping. So don't worry if you have a burp coming, that is a really good sign that there's shifts, energy shifting. Okay, so maybe have a little bit of water and we'll have a check-in. Did that make you thirsty? That's a good thing to check. Did it make you feel thirsty? So let's use the chat now before we get into this, is to rate yourself now on a scale of 0 to 10. How are you feeling now? I think I'm down to about a 2 or a 3. And that's because I wasn't talking specifically about my experience this morning. If I'd done that and used my words fully, I probably would have brought it down further. Great. So 3s and 4s, down to a 4s, 3s, feeling a little buzz. Woo! I love that. Buzz all the way. Did you feel your energy shifting? Did you notice your body? There was some yawning. Had a cry. Excellent. Really good release. I was yawning. I wanted to burp as well. I'm thirsty. Another one with a cry. Excellent. Did anybody have any memories come up? If often the brain gets into a safe space, and memories can surface, and that's really, really good because they are memories that should be looked at. Okay, they're memories that are holding some level of anxiety linked to how you're feeling now. So that's really excellent. George has this 2 kids hanging off her and got down to a 5. Well done. Louisa had a realization. Yes. So a bit of like that cognitive brain coming back in, a bit more of the decision making and the brain power flooding into the precortex, right? Prefrontal cortex. I don't know. That part of the brain, the thinking part of the brain. So just a few tips. Feel free to add any questions that you might have, having had that little drop in energy there. You can use tapping as part of your day. So tapping in the shower or in the bath while the kettle's boiling, just do like a minute or 2 of tapping, even just I'm safe. Sitting, having your morning coffee. Sometimes people journal. If you journal, then read through the journal after while tapping, right? Because you're then using your words. You've already got a script for yourself, a little sequence written down. Use that while tapping. Tap the points with or without words. So if you're struggling to know what to say, because that is one of the biggest things I hear from people, just don't tap with any words, or tap I'm safe. Okay, so that's okay. You will still be sending the signals in. Check in with yourself to be before you go to sleep. So last 5 minutes of the day are crucial. If you're going to bed and you're thinking, oh my God, I've got all this stuff to do tomorrow and I didn't do all this stuff today and I'm so bad and I had that email and I forgot to respond and blah, 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 blah. What's your subconscious processing? But if you can let go of that and bring yourself to, you know, I had a good day. I actually did good work today. I am enough. I've given enough. And it's safe to now rest and allow myself to go to sleep. Then you're processing a whole different kettle of fish overnight. Is it more effective time of day to do it or something that would, yeah. So I find the best results is when you are in the most heightened state. So when you're like a 7, 8, 9, because of something natural that's happened in your day, you're going to feel the shift better than if you wake up like already perky and happy, you know? You're not going to feel it as much because you're already in that situation. So the worse you feel, then definitely I would be bringing the tapping in. Sometimes I've had to like leave the lounge, the living room, to go and tap in the toilet on my own to get some, like, to bring myself down from a really heightened state so that I can come back and parent in a better way. And I know that some people here, I assume, don't have kids, so I didn't bring the parenting thing so much into that script, but I hopefully everybody understood that. Um, let me see, you can touch and breathe. So if you're in a situation where you're feeling like you can't tap, or you don't want to tap on an obvious busy train or whatever, then, just kind of like take a breath and just do a bit of these kind of points, when you're on a train, no one knows what you're doing. Panic attack. The collarbones for me link directly to the kidneys. So I find that they're the most effective for anxiety, because that's the production of the cortisol and the adrenaline. And just keep reminding yourself that you are safe. That is the biggest thing. That's why you're feeling in this response, right? So if anybody is interested, you can tap along with me on YouTube. I also have a library of videos in a separate resource. I do one-to-one work, and my Instagram is there, Sarah_Tobin. You'll have all these details that you can then investigate further, or just email me, sarah@tappingformums.com. I don't just work with mums. That's just a kind of a niche or a specialty, because that was kind of my journey into this. And I enjoy supporting mums and women, of course, but I work with teenagers, dads, men, all the works. Tapping is for everybody, but I just focused on mums at the beginning of my journey. So, Josie, I can't wait for your session as well. Josie is the mindful cook. So have I got that right, Josie? Yeah, phew. So looking forward to getting that. I got your download the other day. The most beautiful, stunning recipe book that you provide for free. So everybody should check that out as well. That's gorgeous. Any questions? And thank you so much for your time. I hope that has given you a good flavor of a tool that is going to be useful for you in the future. Yes, and see you then. So few training. Louisa, I'll go back to your email today. It's on my list. And good to see then some new faces and introduce new people into this world. There's a lot of resources out there. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Emma, for having me.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was absolutely fantastic. And so that's going to become part of my daily life now. That will help with stress and sleep issues and any sort of moments of claustrophobia when you just feel like the world surrounds you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to share this with people that couldn't make it today, obviously, because things happened. And yeah, if everybody could do this, I think everyone would be calmer and happier. And, the world would be a more peaceful place.
Well, that is the mission, right? So you guys spread the word and we will get there.
Lovely. We will do that. And yeah, as Sarah said, we've got Josie who's going to be doing her talk and giving us some guidance around that nutritional well-being and how to eat well for, holistic well-being rather than just losing weight or for one specific goal. We've also got Sue Thomas, she's the sugar-free coach. She's doing a talk for us. And then we have the wonderful Dr. Aileen, who is going to be doing our final talk. She's a TED Talk presenter. She's presented up in Aberdeen on one of the TEDx talks. She's going to be on. Again, I think there's going to be a bit of overlap with techniques for anxiety, but more about goal setting and how to go after what you really want and different techniques around that. So we've got lots more exciting things for you to do, and I think all meshes well with what the Shredquarters we're trying to do in terms of, it's not just the physical side of things. We want to support your mental well-being. We want to make you healthy, happy, well-rounded people that feel you can achieve everything you want to achieve because you are capable of that. So yeah, Sarah, again, Thank you so much. I will email you all with the recording if you want to watch it back at any point. Feel free to reply to that email if you've got any questions. If you are not familiar with the Shredquarters and you are interested in doing one of our award-winning classes, again, reply to that email. I'll hook you up with a free pass to go and do a class at the local gym. So I know, Sarah, you're close to our Brighton gym.
Yes, I do need to go. Yeah.
On there for a session. Yeah, but again, thank you all so much for joining us. It really only works when you guys engage with it, and we're really pleased that you have done so. So thank you again. Lovely to see you all. Have a good
Thanks,
day.
Emma. Have a good day. Bye, George. See ya.
See you soon.
Bye.